They stood together for a moment, side by side, the same height as each other now. Molly had caught up last summer, much to her delight. They both now stood at 5'8". Molly long and lean as a fashion drawing, tanned legs in denim hot pants, honey-dusted hair bundled on top of her head in an artful pile, white Havianas, a chambray shirt over a pink vest, tiny ankles and wrists layered in friendship circlets and rubber bands. Meg, on the other hand, solid as a quarterback, sensible in three-quarter-length navy chinos and a Breton-striped long-sleeved top, a pair of silver-sequined fit-flops and a last-minute pedicure her only concession to the unseasonal heat wave. Mother and only daughter in the late stages of a nightmarish, cliched teenage disaster that had lasted more than 3 years. Almost friends now. Almost. Someone had once told Meg that you get your daughter back when she's 19. Only 4 more years to wait. This is worse than I thought. I mean, so much worse. Meg shook her head and took a tentative step towards the house. There it stood, brick for brick, exactly as it had been the day she was born 40 years earlier. 3 low windows facing out onto the street, 4 windows above, 2 front doors, 1 at either end. On the right, by the side entrance, a plaque made by a long-dead local craftsman, an oval with the words, "The Birdhouse," painted on it and a pair of lovebirds with their beaks entwined. The green-painted gate to the left of the house that opened up onto a gravelled path to the back door. The stickers in the windows declaring membership of Neighbourhood Watch. Whatever happened to Neighbourhood Watch, Meg wondered idly. Allegiance to the RSPB and an intolerance towards people selling door-to-door. All there, just as it had been forever and ever. Except... "This is the worst house I've ever seen," said Molly. "It's worse than the ones on the TV shows." "We haven't even been inside yet, Moll. Hold that thought." "And my nose too, right?" "Yes, probably." She sighed. The windows, which to her recollection had never been cleaned, were now so thick with grime that they were fully opaque. In fact, they were black. The pastel yellow Gloucester brick was discoloured and damaged. The green gate was hanging off its post by one solitary nail, and the gravelled pathway was piled high with random objects. 2 old pushchairs, a rusty bike, a dead Christmas tree in a broken pot, a box of magazines, swollen and waterlogged to twice their original size. The flat-fronted style of the house meant that it held most of its personality within and behind. But even on such scant display, it was clear that this house had a disease. The village had grown more and more gentrified over the decades. All the old houses scrubbed to a gleaming yellow, doors and window frames farrow and bald to the nth degree, and there, lodged between them, like a rotten tooth, sat the birdhouse. "God, it's so embarrassing," said Molly, pushing her Ray-Bans into her hair and wrinkling her tiny nose. "What must everyone think?" Meg raised her eyebrows. She said. "I'd say that judging by our local reputation, this is probably no more than anyone in the village would expect." "Come on, then." She smiled at her daughter nervously. "Let's go in, shall we? Get it over with." Molly smiled back grimly and nodded. April 1981. Megan pulled back the ivy and pushed her fingertips inside a small crevice in the wall. "Got another one!" she shouted out to Bethan and the twins. "Oh, well done, Meggie!" her mother called from the back step where she stood in her strawberry print apron watching proceedings with a contented smile. "Bravo!" Megan pulled out the small foil-wrapped egg and dropped it into her basket. "It's pink," she said pointedly to her younger sister. "Don't care," said Bethan. "I've got 3 pink ones already." Megan looked up at the sky. It was cloudless, densely blue, hot as July.